Story 1. The sound of a door opening when someone came online on AOL Instant Messenger still gives me a little dopamine rush when I hear it. Story 2. I miss actual forums. They still exist but are not as lively as they were in the early 2000s, and many were shut down years ago. Story 3. Back then you could Google something like James Bond movie ranker and find a website that only let you rank James Bond movies for free. That was the whole site. That is completely lost on the internet now. Today the internet is essentially a dozen websites, and anything like that requires a monthly subscription. Story 4. Stumble upon. It was like crack cocaine at the time. Hit the button and get a new, random yet curated website. I would say the doom scrolling of today can be traced back to that little button on the taskbar in Windows 2000. Story 5. People who were passionate about subjects, hobbies, and interests created content not motivated by monetization, subscribers, or recognition. Anonymous users created amazing content simply because they wanted to and were passionate about it. It was beautiful. Story 6. How are you, gentlemen? All your bases belong to us. Story 7. Many websites had a signing section called a guestbook where visitors could sign and leave their names to indicate they had visited. I also remember websites displaying a visitor counter that showed how many people had visited. Story 8. Free online Flash games and videos powered by the now discontinued Flash player software. Sites such as Newgrounds, Congregate, free online games, and many others. I enjoyed humorous sites like eBaum's World. Online people were more friendly, social, helpful, and decent. Now it is the opposite. I also stumbled upon really cool and unique things there. I could easily find almost anything I wanted by searching, regardless of the type of information. Now I cannot. Edit. In my personal experience, people were more friendly and helpful, and they were easier to find. I should have clarified. Jesus Christ. I received over 100 notifications and it was spamming my inbox. I could not find how to turn them off for this post only. I did not want to disable notifications for other posts. Please help. Internet searches did not help. Second edit. Thank you to the kind person who showed me how to disable notifications. Story 9. Dial-up sound. Age, sex, location, hamster dance, web counters, guest books, GeoCities, secret messages in binary code, the flying toaster screensaver. Story 10. I should point out that 1991 to 2009 is a very broad range in terms of the evolution of the internet. Story 11. There was a time when funny viral videos felt genuine. Now they are all cringe and staged. Story 12. Free month of America Online from discs they gave out everywhere. We did not pay for internet until digital subscriber line service came to our neighborhood. Story 13. I remember when web pages often had a small counter showing the number of views, typically 4 digits long. Story 14. Badgers and a mushroom. Story 15. The one thing from that era I wish I had kept was an internet phone book listing every site. It was mostly file transfer protocol sites hosted at universities, and it would be neat to see it again. Story 16. I used Amazon when it was just a bookstore to track down resources for my dissertation. Story 17. Downloading the search for extraterrestrial intelligence program to my computer and leaving it running in the background to search for extraterrestrial life. Story 18. Neopets, cool math for kids, and strong bad. That was mostly due to my age then. Story 19. Search engines became popular, then highly effective, and later declined in quality. Story 20. American Standard Code for Information Interchange Art is still around, but it used to be very prominent before the internet could handle many photos. The game frequently asked questions walkthroughs with beautifully done American Standard Code for Information Interchange Art recreations of game logos are still amazing to behold. Story 21. YouTube without advertisements was great. I have no idea how they made money, but it was nice. Story 22. The wildest part was how empty it felt compared to now. You would just sit there on dial-up, slowly loading some random fan page or forum, and it felt like finding a secret room in a huge abandoned building. No algorithms, no feeds, just you, a search box, and whatever weird corner you stumbled into. Story 23. Nobody would ask questions solely to use the answers as material for their BuzzFeed article. Story 24. All your base are belong to us is a viral video. The term meme had not been coined at the time. Story 25. Chain emails, oh my god. Update. My husband said he never got one because he did not have an email account until 2012. And I now regret deactivating my very old Hotmail address. If anyone has any chain emails buried in their archives and wants to contribute, please send me a direct message. Story 26. The Anarchist Cookbook. My friend and I felt like we had stolen national secrets when we downloaded it. We did not have the courage to do anything with it, but for a few moments we were ungovernable. Story 27. My mom was yelling at me to get off the internet so she could make a phone call. Story 28. When people were actually social online, chat rooms and players casually chatting in massively multiplayer online games formed meaningful friendships. Story 29. That calm, serene field followed by a ghoul screaming at you startled me the most when I saw it for the first time in a chain email. Story 30. Tricking people into pressing the alternate key and function key 4. The fact that no one else has mentioned it makes me wonder if fewer people fell for it than I thought. Laughing out loud. I fell for it. Story 31. You would print map directions from MapQuest and spread them out on the passenger seat. Story 32. Board.com. It was one of the first websites with a wide variety of content. Story 33. In 1995, I bought many books from a new online bookstore called Amazon. Jeff Bezos sent me a coffee mug and a hand-signed letter as a thank you. Story 34. Flash games. Say what you want about memes or online gaming, but almost everyone has at least one Flash game they still remember from that era. Story 35. From the later end of that spectrum, Levon Polka, original Leak Spin and Hatsune Miku editions, Trololo Guy, Nyan Cat, Mad Video Edits reposted from Nico Dauga, McRoll, McDonald's ad recut to Toho theme, Homestar Runner, 4chan green text, forum pages with intricate signatures, including images and HTML coding, television tropes and fanfic.net, Wikipedia not considered a real source by teachers, and also the first search result on Google. Ican has cheeseburger and advice animals in general. The guy who danced to Numa Numa, misheard lyrics to international songs, Caramel Dancin', Will It Blend? Star Wars Lightsaber Kid, Fred and Annoying Orange from YouTube, Nigahiga from YouTube, specifically his now-deleted Greenball videos. You've got mail, anime fan subtitles and anime available on YouTube for free. Rest in peace, Analinks. Vlog Brothers. Don't forget to be awesome. Uploading a high-definition video to YouTube in 480p. CAPTCHA. Completely automated public Turing test to tell computers and humans apart. Being scrambled letters because they were teaching computers how to read. Now images of motorcycles because they are learning how to drive. From the 1990s, these are more computers than online. It is now safe to turn off your computer. Screensavers. The brick maze, the pipes, and the aquarium. Macromedia Player. A precursor to Adobe Flash Player. Clippy being annoying. Watching the cards bounce in solitaire. Story 36. I remember all the early adopters in the 1990s had their own home pages. People often used the words homepage interchangeably with the word website. They were similar to what MySpace would become. They usually had hideous colors and animations and always included an animated graphics interchange format image of a construction worker jackhammering with the words, "This page is under construction." Angelfire and GeoCities were the two places I most remember hosting these sites. Video was awful. Everyone knew that video would be a thing, but it felt like forever before it was worth watching. You had to get a plugin called RealPlayer. The original South Park short, The Spirit of Christmas, was shared in those days. We used to email it to each other, then gather around a computer with our friends and laugh at those blurry cartoon blobs yelling curse words. The sound was so garbled that I did not know Cartman's name until the show premiered on Comedy Central a year or two later. Since you asked about the period up to 2009, I will add that I loved the blog era from about 2005 to 2010. Old school Gawker was my favorite, but there were a dozen or so blogs I checked all day long. When I eventually joined Facebook, I thought this made much more sense. I should just have one feed that pulls content from all these places instead of jumping from blog to blog or from profile to profile. Story 37. My rolling on the floor laughing helicopter goes soy. Story 38. I spent way too much time on Yahoo Chat, but it was great. Story 39. Online dating. Around 2002, when I was 14 or 15, AOL Instant Messenger and America Online chats were all the rage. I dated a few girls who lived in different states and never met in person. We would talk for hours on the phone and online and send each other pictures. Funny enough, all the girls knew each other in real life. I think I started talking to one, then her friends got nosy and friended me, and I made my rounds one at a time. Eventually, I started hanging out with girls in person and America Online died off. It was bizarre looking back, but also very fulfilling to my younger, shy, introverted self. Story 40. Badger. Mushroom. It's a snake. Story 41. A friend emailed a link to a group of us, and the only title of the message was Good Morning. I opened it at work. Story 42. Congregate. I can has cheeseburger. Urban rivals. Tribal wars. Just some I did not see listed. Story 43. I bought my first computer in 1992. A Compaq 386. I would click on a photo to open it, then go make a grilled cheese sandwich while it downloaded. America Online chat rooms were a wild place. Story 44. I was just telling my kid yesterday about how I had to send an email to 12 people or I would have bad luck for eternity. Story 45. I missed the 5-star rating system that YouTube used to have. Story 46. Oh my God, the chain emails in the 1990s. Forward. Send to 10 friends. Your crush will hate you. Keep the chain going. Story 47. Bulletin boards. Everything was new, excitement and wonder. Powwow and ICQ. God, I'm showing my age here. The dial-up screech was real. Story 48. YouTube before influencers and ads. The best videos were the most random stuff. Low quality, zero budget, unpolished, not made with the intent of making money, but people being weird and spontaneous. They were organically funny, not scripted or edited by professionals. Fan-made websites. If you were obsessed with a franchise, you would make your own website about it. When you searched for a franchise, such as a television show, movie, or video game, you would not just get the official site or news articles. You would find hundreds of personal websites made by random people. Some were absolutely incredible works of art. They contained facts, rumors, theories, and artwork. You would have no way of knowing what was real and what was not. It was all so exciting. Story 49. I am willing to wait 2 minutes for an image to load just to see breasts. Story 50. When the Mosaic web browser came out in 1993, there was no World Wide Web before then. Instead, there were sites accessed by the File Transfer Protocol, Gopher sites, and Usenet newsgroups. To search file transfer protocol sites, people used a tool called Archie. After Mosaic and the World Wide Web appeared, a few search engines emerged, such as Excite and AltaVista, among others. I remember one called Dogpile that submitted your query to several engines and aggregated the results. Then Google appeared and clobbered the competition by being superior. There used to be a service called Deja News that archived Usenet. If I recall correctly, Google acquired Deja News, and they probably still have that data internally, but what is publicly accessible now is available through Google Groups. Dogpile still exists. Story 51. I miss typing something into Google and finding many pages of unique content, people's blogs, personal websites, and niche forums. Now it is all the same social media platforms. Story 52. I bought books from Amazon when that was all they sold. I joked with my friends that they would never become another Barnes & Noble. I'm glad I was right and never bought any Amazon stock. F my life. Where is the Tylenol? Story 53. Original South Park Christmas video. Dick in a box. Blair Witch fake news articles. Story 54. Charlie bit my finger, one of the first viral videos. Story 55. Local area network parties were an amazing phenomenon. They offered something for everyone: gaming, file sharing, and music. There were many check this out moments that introduced me to my favorite songs and video game soundtracks. I learned a lot about computers and programming there, which eventually helped me professionally. Story 56. Our first computer with dial-up coincided with my first pregnancy. I naturally ended up on the Usenet newsgroup Miscellaneous Kids Pregnancy, which led me to a site where I could sign up for an email list for women all due in the same month. I remained friends with many of the mothers who were due in July 1997. We even had meetups in various places around the United States after our children were born. Story 57. Stick Death. There was a trend for a while in the early 2000s with online guild-based games where you built armies or a monster and then sent them to other teams to battle, earning resources and so on. They were all text-based and the battles were not visible, but we were obsessed in school. I am not sure what they were called. Story 58. Rotten.com. We were obsessed with it as teenagers, but looking back now it was genuinely disturbing. Story 59. There was a uniform resource locator you could type in or a website I do not remember, and it would take you to a random page on the internet. That way you could explore the web. Thanks, Thomosin. It was stumble upon. Story 60. Running out of interesting things after a couple of hours. Okay, I guess I'm done here. Story 61. Sometimes I miss just chatting with people from different countries, learning about their lives, issues, and interests. From time to time, it would all click and the conversation would go on for hours, day after day. Story 62. A Microsoft Network status message would be a very long lyric from some obscure song, decorated with artistically arranged symbols, and we would change it daily. It was very important to broadcast our musical tastes everywhere we could. When someone did not reply to your chat and you could nudge them, it would make a loud buzzer sound on their end and bring the chat window to the front while shaking. We used Napster and LimeWire to download music illegally in MPEG-1 audio layer 3 format. We watched weird videos like Le Violongue, Le Violonneur. Story 63. ICQ Instant Messaging Service, Telnet, the File Transfer Protocol, dial-up bulletin board systems, and multi-user dungeons are all fond memories. Going from 4 kilobits per second to 8 kilobits per second was magnificent. Story 64. The biggest change was the switch from a pay-per-hour to an unlimited model. With dial-up, you were limited in monthly time. You paid per hour or for hours beyond a small amount, just as you paid per minute for long-distance calls. Removing that restriction gave you the freedom to do more online. The internet was still a place you visited, but you could stay longer. Story 65. Usenet was the Reddit of its day and completely unmoderated. There were groups about many topics. If pictures were posted, they had to be in small pieces and you needed a separate program to assemble them. There was a great deal of explicit content and illegal uploads of commercial software. Usenet still exists, but most internet service providers do not host it anymore. Story 66. My mom yelled at me to get off the internet so she could use the phone. Story 67. The genuine belief was that the internet would be a force for good. Open source was where everything was headed. Corporate interests would eventually be defeated by people practicing crowdsourced development, producing software far superior to what corporations could deliver. We would host our digital lives on hardware in our homes and securely access our data at any time using Secure Shell. It was a beautiful vision with people like Linus Torvalds as aspirational leaders. Fast forward to today, and we are all drowning in a massive corporate mess. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.